snake looked so strong and cruel. And in their state of spiritual anxiety to the limits, they were crying out, "Garuda, Garuda!" Because Garuda likes to capture snakes. And when the snake saw all the anxiety of the people, he just straightened himself out and slithered away. That snake was actually Anantashesha, who came to render some seva for Nimai by letting Nimai get nice rest on his coils. But nobody else could recognize that. And as soon as the serpent slithered away, immediately Nimai's relatives ran over and picked up Nimai and started embracing him and thanking Lord Krishna for saving him. And then they put him down. And what did Nimai do? He went crawling as fast as he could back to catch the snake. And they caught him. And it is described by Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, anyone who hears this story with faith will be forever delivered from the serpent of birth and death. How they were chanting Krishna's names when they were seeing Nimai in this condition. Why does Nimai do this to his devotees? Why does he put himself in such conditions? For one reason: to increase their love. And it does increase their love. Even limitless love can be increased by the grace of Sri Krishna. When Krishna was about 3 months old in Gokul, Yashoda Mai wanted to celebrate a festival called the Uttana. It's the festival where a baby child just begins to slant its body and crawl. Now, in the Vedic civilization, these are samskaras where they have really nice festivals for blessings. In a spiritual sense, when we celebrate these different types of stages of a child's life, it's for the purpose of bringing blessings to that child. So there was a glorious festival in Vrindavan because Krishna's slanting his body. This is so wonderful. And there was Brahmins chanting, and there was bands playing, and everyone was dancing, and Yashoda Maya and Nanda Maharaj was giving so many beautiful gifts to everyone and offering prayers. And because Yashoda Mai, to get all blessings for Krishna, she was serving everyone so nicely, and Krishna seemed really tired. So she put a nice, beautiful little soft bed and placed Krishna under a cart so she could tend to all the guests. But what she didn't know is there was an asura, a very evil, demoniac personality who was actually in a ghostly body. He didn't have his own physical form. He had more of an ethereal form. But he could enter into forms and manipulate them. So this was a hand cart that was there in their family for a long time. But Shakatasura entered into that form. And his purpose was to kill Krishna. And in killing Krishna, he would kill the hearts of all the Brijabasis, and everyone would be unable to live. So he was just about to crush Krishna to death. And Krishna's just laying there. And he knows everything. But he looks like he doesn't know anything. And by his own Yogamaya potency, he's hungry for Yashodamai's milk. And Yashodamai's busy taking care of guests. So little Gopal cries for his mother's milk. But she doesn't hear him. So he cries louder. And then with his tiny little soft, gentle lotus foot, he kicked the wheel of the cart. Because the cart's huge. It's way above him. But he kicked the wheel. And just by touching the wheel with his foot, everything. There were all these brass pots and vessels. They all came tumbling down. The entire cart was cracked. The wheel was dislocated from its axle. It fell to the ground, and it made an enormous sound. Everything pounding against the ground. And when it disturbed the entire celebration. And everyone came running. And Yashodamai, she sees this cart and everything on it, all on the ground. And I put my Gopal under that cart. He must be totally crushed to death. My heart of hearts. She's practically blinded with grief, and she's trying to run to the site, but she can hardly run. What happened? Why? And when the residents of Vrindavan came, they saw the cart was in so many different pieces, splintered all over the place. And these gigantic pots and vessels and other goods that were on it, maybe thousands of pounds, were just all over the ground. And in the middle of it, untouched, was Gopal, smiling. Yashodamai picked him up and embraced him, put him on lap, and he drank her milk, just to show her that he's safe and he's happy. And again, they performed so many nice little ceremonies for Krishna to protect him for the future. When Nimai was a little boy, he didn't kill demons, but he awakened the same type of loving sentiments in his devotees. When Krishna was a little child in his Bal Lila, from his birth till 5 years old, the predominant relationships he was exchanging was Vatsalya Ras, especially with Nanda and Yashoda. When he was in his Poganda Lila, from 5 to 10, or 6 to 10, the primary exchanges were Sakya Ras, with Balaram and his friends Subal and Sridama, and Stoka Krishna, and Arjun and Ujjvala. And when he was in his Kaishore Leela, from 11 till 15, his primary loving exchanges were in Madhurya Bhav with the gopis of Sri Vrindavan Dham. So little Nimai, he was just a little child. And Sachimata celebrated the exact festival. It's written there in Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. Little Nimai just slanted his body and was just beginning to crawl. And it was called the Balasya Utan. Same. So Sachimata wanted all auspiciousness. So she went to the Ganges, Mother Ganga, and she performed so many pujas and sevas for Mother Ganga, offering flowers and offering lamps and offering prayers, just to bless little Nimai, because he's just about to start crawling. And she brought with her many of her relatives and friends, and they were all performing the pujas and celebrating this glorious event. And as Sachimata was returning back to her home, she gave wonderful gifts to all the ladies who celebrated with her. And she requested all of them, please, from your heart, bless my Nimai. And these were true blessings. From their hearts, with love, with affection, with compassion. They showered their blessings on little Nimai. One time, little Nimai, this is just starting to crawl, hardly even crawling. When Sachimata and Jagannath Mishra left the house for just a few minutes, little Nimai destroyed everything in the house. He took all the vessels of yogurt and milk and ghee and just threw them on all the walls. He broke all the pots. He took all the rice and the dal and the wheat and just threw it everywhere and when Nanda and Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi came in the house, they couldn't believe. Everything was destroyed. Everything was everywhere. Who could have done it? Our little Nimai can't even stand up yet. What has happened? Similar to Shakatasura. They were thinking some demon must have come into the house. Some ghostly demon must have come, and they wanted to harm Nimai. But because Nimai is so pious, and because God protects little children, and because we offer so many pujas and prayers for Nimai, Lord Narayan protected him, and that demon must have been so angry that he couldn't hurt Nimai, that he destroyed everything in the house with anger. There was no other explanation. And they started doing so many different pujas and so many different rituals and so many different prayers for the protection of Nimai as they picked him up, and he was just smiling. He was smiling in a way like, I don't know what happened. Once, when Krishna was just starting to walk, Nanda Maharaj said, please bring my shoes. and he had wooden shoes. And little Gopal put the wooden shoes on his head and brought it to Nanda Maharaj. There's wonderful paintings of this pastime. How Krishna is so eager to serve his devotees. Krishna's taking the shoes of his devotee and carrying it on his head with great effort. And in a similar way, when Nimai just started to walk, Jagannath Mishra said, Nimai, bring my book. So Nimai went running, and it was a big book, because they're scriptures. And as he went to get the book, Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi, they heard the tinkling of ankle bells. Krishna's ankle bells. And they were not like that. That was not one of my special effects. They never put ankle bells on Nimai. Where is the sound coming from? So they were astounded. And the ankle bells are tinkling. And they're tinkling, and they're tinkling, and they're so sweet. These ankle bell sounds are melting Sachi and Jagannath's heart. They're thinking, where is it coming from? And little Nimai comes running up and gives his book to his father. And then smiles and goes to play with his friends. And Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi are looking at each other. Where were those ankle bell sounds coming from? He doesn't have ankle bells. It mesmerized them. They went in their house where the book was, and they saw on the floor and on the walls there were beautiful footprints with all the markings of Krishna's footprints. Lotuses and clubs and flags. And they were astounded. The tinkling of ankle bells, they were coming from Krishna. Krishna was in our house. Because of their Vatsalya Bhav, Nimai wouldn't allow them to think that he was Krishna. Jagannath Mishra said, it must be my Shalagram Shila, named Damodar. He must be performing pastimes in our house. Damodar Shila has taken a form of Krishna, and he's gone all over our house and walked on our floors and our walls and put all these beautiful footprints on. So we should do puja to Damodar. So Sachimata made a beautiful feast, and Jagannath Mishra performed so many beautiful ceremonies of worship, and they were celebrating, so happy that Damodar, our Shila, is having pastimes in our house. And little Nimai is just watching and smiling. And one day, when Krishna was laying in Sachimata's lap, he happened to just lay up and pointed his feet up, and she saw the same markings on his little tiny lotus feet. When Nimai was a baby, he would cry. And the people of the home, seeing him cry, was more painful to their heart than anything in the world. More painful than atomic nuclear bombs dropping on their heads, or earthquakes, or economic collapses, was to see Nimai cry. That means he wasn't happy. That means there was some pain. They would do anything for him. The same experience when the Brijabasis saw Krishna taken away by Putana, of that ras, of protection out of love for our child. The residents of Navadvip experienced. And because of the deep love and concern they had for Nimai's safety and happiness, nothing would stop him from crying. Whatever they did for him, he cried louder. Whatever they brought for him, they cried louder. But as soon as, in total desperation, completely helpless, turning to God to help, they cried out the holy names, Nimai would smile. A beaming smile that lit up their hearts with his affection. He was so pleased. In this way, from his very infancy, little Nimai established Prem Sankirtan. Not just ritualistic musical chanting, but chanting from the heart with love. Golokera Premadana Harinam Sankirtan. This chanting has descended from Goloka, from the eternal pastimes of Sri Krishna. The Gopas and the Gopis forever chant this Maha Mantra. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, from his earliest infancy, Krishna in the mood of Sri Radha, revealed the pastimes of the spiritual world to all of us. It's not only the pastime of the spiritual world, but it's the means by which we can purify our hearts and enter into the pastimes of the spiritual world. Let us chant the holy names with gratitude, with humility, and with great feeling. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Much louder, please. Let us celebrate. Celebrating being in Sri Vrindavan Dham at the most holy time of Kartik, by the grace of Srila Prabhupada and our previous acharyas, with each other. Let us loudly chant with great feeling, and let us dance for the pleasure of the Vaishnavas and the pleasure of the Lord.